Hello and welcome. If you're new, my name is Michelle and I love to share all of my art journey with you. And today I have got a sketchbook that I've finished. So I'm going to share with you how I've completed that sketchbook. I've also done half of my concertina sketchbook for Inktober with my prompts that I came up with. So I'm going to share you the spread of that I've done. And then I'm going to do a little abstract painting for you all. So stay with me whilst I share and do a little abstract painting. So I'm going to change my view now and let us start with this sketchbook, which I started in August and I have recently just finished. This is a Light Wish sketchbook and I'm loving this square format. I love having these rings because everything can lay very flat. So I've really enjoyed this sketchbook, and in fact I do have another one that I've started. So this picture on the front cover was one that I did for one of the paint calms. I think it might have been episode 10. Anyway, don't quote me on that. All of the paint calms you can find on my homepage. They are listed as one of the topics. Do they call them topics? Anyway, yeah, you can find all of the paint calms together in one place on my YouTube channel if you decide that you want to have a little look and catch up on those. So that was how I started this sketchbook. This little pen and ink here was something that I did with Marina Art. So actually I need to make a note so that I can give you all these people that I've been following. I was a Patreon for Marina Art for a little while, and she very kindly gives you outlines and does these little pen and ink watercolors. I didn't use the sketch outlines, I just drew them myself. But if that is something that you might be interested in, that's definitely someone to have a little look at, Marina Art. So yeah, a little fence post there, a little bit of fencing with some flowers growing up. This was another one of hers. This I suppose you'd call it like a dolphin or an orca maybe. And then this also was one of hers with some little dragonflies. So I enjoyed doing some of her little pen and ink suggestions. Croaky again. Also one of hers, so another little pen and ink. And this is where I did the same one again, because I kind of felt that I needed to make it some different colours. So I will quite often do things more than once. This was one of my YouTube videos. This was using just 4 Inktense pencils in actual fact. So that's one that you might want to look back on. This little picture here was from the scotlandpaintings.com. So I will leave a link to those. I did this one on my Patreon. So if you're a member of my Patreon, then you will remember me painting this in a video for you. I thoroughly enjoyed doing this. I loved the colours. Mine is all in watercolour. I did use a few pencils, coloured pencils. I used some bleed proof white and I mixed the bleed proof white with some paint in order to go over some of these areas. I think the original picture that I was working from was probably in acrylic, and by adding bleed proof white I kind of made some of my paints into acrylics in actual fact, so that they did work over the top of my watercolors. So that was a thoroughly enjoyable one. This one was a paint calm, so those of you that follow paint calm, you will remember this one. There's a lot that I like, but there's a lot that I'm not so happy with on this one. But this is how it goes. Even when it looks as though artists on YouTube get it right first time, every time, in actual fact, we don't. We just don't. And sometimes it's a learning curve. And I think that's good to show. This one I think I just did because I fancied doing it. So this one, there was no reference picture or anything that I was inspired by. This was just purely from my imagination. This one was inspired from Pinterest. So I like the simplicity of this one. There's just a little bit of watercolor, and then I used my favored carbon platinum ink pen, which I truly love. This one, this little kind of sunset, I cannot remember where or how I got the inspiration for that one, but I was quite pleased with how it came out, and this one was just watercolor. Then we've got this little one. I'm obviously starting to feel a bit autumny, and I even dared to put a little figure in. I don't put figures in my work very often, but this one was just quite simplified. We've got the tree in the back there, which is lighter, with these trees that are more prominent and darker in the front. And I used watercolor, I used some colored pencil, and I also used my carbon platinum pen. So this one, I think I was just playing with some circles and some cow parsley as an idea. This was the Graphitint paints that I quite like using. So quite often on my descriptions, I put my most favourite materials and links to those things. So do check out the descriptions because most of the things that I use will be there in the descriptions. This one is quite cute. I loved what happened with the watercolours here, and then more pen and ink basically, and a little bit of bleed proof white. So this one was another paint calm, and I used the Rosa Gallery paints that I have. This was when I was doing the circles as a theme for paint calm, and I really loved these colours together, and I quite liked where it kind of bled in places, and I quite like the effect of just leaving a little white gap here and there. I think that's something that I very much learned from this this particular painting. So that one was a lot of fun. This was me practicing another circle for paint calm, but I didn't like it, and I still don't like it. Yeah, the colours are all wrong. Yeah, I'm not exactly 100% sure why I don't like it, but I don't. This one you will remember as a paint calm, and I used my Graphitint paints and Graphitint pencils. So Derwent Graphitint. And this one I thought was a lot of fun. It's kind of the circle and then the trees poke out from the top. It was a very relaxing one. I thoroughly enjoyed doing this one and adding in just a little bit of gold here and there. I do like a bit of gold. This one on this side was another Scotland Paintings. This one wasn't, I think I just did this one. This one isn't one that I've done a video on. It was just one that I liked the look of. And I do like the colourways. I like how the water came out. I used watercolour. There's a little bit of coloured pencil, and then obviously my carbon platinum ink pen again. This one was a view from the lodge that I stayed in at the beginning of September with my good friend Paula. It's watercolour, and then I have used some coloured pencils at the bottom here, and there's a little bit of neo colour in there as well. And I also rather like that one. I like the simplicity of it again, and it just evokes this lovely green calm expanse that I wish I was still there, really. So that was a nice one. This one also was a scotlandpaintings.com. So I've thoroughly enjoyed doing those, I have to say, and I'm still enjoying doing them. So this one, not so keen on the colorways. Yeah, I'm not sure I like the orange in there so much. Perhaps I should have stuck with a more yellow ochre, I'm thinking. But I like the concept, and it's something that I might do again, but maybe not an exact copy, but just the overlapping kind of fields, and maybe that to me would be more of a water expanse next time. Yeah, not sure what happened to my bird, but it kind of looks a bit like a bird. So there are some things I like and things I don't. This was watercolour with a little bit of neo colour. So the white is neo colour, and so yeah, it's all coloured pencil and neo colour on top. This one, I'm trying to think, was this a video that I did? It might have been a video that I did. You see, I do so many that I sometimes forget. This was from it was a video that I did. It was from a reference picture, and I remember now it was a sort of long landscape, and I folded it to make it into more of a square shape and painted the bit that I wanted to paint. What I do quite like about this one is where I scratched out some of the grasses at the bottom here, and I like the fact that you can feel that light coming through those trees, which I think is quite a nice effect, something that I will take on board. This was another one that I did while I was away. So although, I mean, I sometimes skip about pages because I half start something or I need something to dry. But this one was inspired by a John Blockley picture that I found in one of the books. It's not an exact copy, but I really quite like this light coming through, and I like the dry brush marks that I've done here, and I used the paint in quite a dry manner to get the effects on the sides of the trees. So yeah, that's one that I do really like. This one was just me practicing. I was trying to do some little leaves and berries of a plant that I found whilst I was staying at the lodge on holiday, but I wasn't very pleased with how that one came out. Just to show you that not everything that we do we like. These were some little vignettes, I suppose you'd call them, from Bury St Edmunds and the Abbey Gardens there. This was on the way back from my holiday. And then this one was, so I'd already done this one, and then I did, this was the one that I did on my channel. So you can see I've still kept some of that light coming in. I've added a bit of a field here. I changed the colours. I don't know which I like best. I quite like them both, I think. These two were using, what was I using? Yes, I was using my Art Graph soft carbon pencil as my starting point, and then just adding a little bit of watercolour to that. And I think that might have been another one that was in a John Blockley book that I was having a go at, but not copying it exactly. And then this one was from a reference picture. When I say reference pictures, all of the pictures that I get are from Unsplash, and they're copyright free, Pixabay, copyright free, or Pexels, which is another one that is copyright free. If you're not familiar with those, I'm going to leave links to those. I'm just going to make a note. Pixabay, Unsplash, and Pexels, because it might be something that you're interested in doing. This was definitely one that I did on my channel, and I'd used a couple of reference pictures for this and done what I call a, well, what my good friend Diana, and I'll link her, I will link her YouTube channel down below as well, what she calls a mashup. So it was yet again two pictures that I've mashed up together to make this. And I actually really quite like these lines that are coming down here. And I love the sky on this one too. This one was from a reference picture. Yet again, I was using the Art Graph soft carbon pencil. This, I think I did on my YouTube channel, pretty sure I did. This is another Scotland Paintings. Oh, gone off screen. Scotland Paintings. What I really liked about this was these kind of grid lines that I did with a jelly roll, white jelly roll pen. I thought that that was quite effective, and I liked, I'm quite liking where I leave little bits of the white paper to get some nice effects with my watercolour. So that one was fun. I enjoyed doing that one. And then this one was also a scotlandpaintings.com, and this one I know I did on my YouTube channel fairly recently. So yet again, I use watercolour, and then on top I've used the bleed proof white, and I've added bleed proof white to some of the watercolour so that it becomes more like an acrylic, so that I can paint on top of things that you wouldn't normally be able to do with watercolour. So in other words, it's very difficult to put lights on top of darks with watercolor. You have to leave your whites as whites of the page. You can go over them with bleed proof white, but you need to put your lights down and then work around those with your darks, which if you're using acrylics or even gouache, you don't necessarily need to do. You can just wait until the dark colour of the gouache has dried and you can put the lighter colour on top. So it's more tricky when you're using watercolours. This was another YouTube video. This had a reference picture that I showed on the video. And I am kind of drawn very much towards fields and fences and gates, and then these flowers and things that are more in the foreground. So, and I loved the lavender and the green together, I thought were rather lovely. So that colorway is something that I might use again. This one I did upside down. Typical. So there you go. This was another scotlandpaintings.com. In fact, this is the one that you can look at for free on their website. I just did one of the boats. I think there's probably about 3 boats in their picture. And yet again, I've used these lovely little grid lines. And I'm kind of liking that, actually. So this one was fun, and I quite liked how the houses came out this time compared to, where are we? Compared to the upside down one, compared to this one. So if you look at those houses and then you look at these houses, I think I did better. So it is just, you know, practice, keep going, and improving on what I'm doing, hopefully. Anyway, this one was the most recent paint calm. This one ended up more like a night scene, so you can check that one out. That was using watercolor pens and Neocolor on the top. This was another scotlandpaintings.com, and yeah, I really like this. I like this effect at the bottom here, but I am having to mix the bleed proof white with my watercolors so that I can go over the top. But maybe that is going to be something that is mine. I don't see many other artists doing that. And so rather than having to buy lots of different acrylic paints or lots of different gouache, I'm just adding the bleed proof white and making my colours from the watercolours that I've already used in the paintings. So that, for me, I think works better. I think it's quite a good solution. I don't know, what do you all think? So yet again, watercolours, bleed proof white, and then some coloured pencils that I used in that one. And then this, which is the final one in this particular sketchbook, this was the second version of from the same reference picture, and on this one I used watercolour and Neocolors, and I did some scratching out with my palette knife. So yeah, something very different, and I even wet some of the Neocolors rather than just using them as is. So there's not too many in there that I'm not that happy with. I think that sketchbook has come out really quite well. I'm really quite proud of that sketchbook. So moving on then, let's have a look at what I've been doing for Inktober. And I've been using this Sea White of Brighton. It comes in this case. Concertina. It's a concertina sketchbook. So I've just used one side so far for Inktober. Those are my prompts. So what are we? I'm recording this on the 14th. This won't be going up onto YouTube until the 16th. So far all I've done is up to the 12th. And I did mine for sort of every third day because I wanted it to be doable rather than something that became almost like a chore, too much. So, and I know that many of the people that are following me and my Patreons were all doing many Inktobers from other artists. So, in order to take some pressure off for all of us. So anyway, without further ado, the first prompt was sphere. And I kind of did this kind of orb in the forest kind of thing, but it's very abstracty, and this is what I wanted to use this concertina sketchbook for. I didn't want to do my usual. I wanted to play with lots of different materials. So I have used some gouache here, and my carbon pencil, my soft carbon pencil, and it's different. Whether I really like it or not, I'm not sure. The next prompt was golden, so I did that over 3 spreads, if you like, and I kind of liked this one a little bit more. I liked the use of this dark carbon pencil going across, and the only thing I will say is I'm not sure that I really like this kind of colour here, but the prompt was golden, so I needed to put something there, and I thought it kind of linked. It was going from this orb to kind of this orb, and so maybe it was kind of lighting up a part of the forest in a slightly different way. Not that I was particularly planning these. I literally just got on and did them really quickly. So the next prompt was cold, and so that was this part here, and I think the colours do convey that kind of cold feeling. And yet again, I was just playing, and this is what came out, really. I think by the time I drew this, in my head, I was seeing a kind of a seascape and a bit of a cave and maybe a walkway up into the cave. But, you know, with all of these, I've used neo colors, I've used gelatos, I've used colored pencils, I've used a little tool that I have. Here we go, here it is. This one to kind of get this effect. I've scraped things out with my palette knife. I've just really been playing a lot. The prompt for the 9th was delicate. So if I close that and we move across, I did that on a 3-page spread, and I think that flows quite nicely from this one. So I tried to keep all of my mark making quite delicate, and this kind of looks a bit lacy. I used watercolor. I used a sponge to get this effect. What else did I? And I used different brushes to the ones that I would normally use, so that I could keep it quite delicate. I believe I used this branch and detail brush, but a rigger would probably do the same thing, except you haven't got this big belly at the bottom, and I think that's how I managed to get some of this pattern going on, which to me was like really interesting. And when I looked at it, because in a way, even though it's abstract, I couldn't help, I just couldn't help myself from going, okay, that's kind of like a seascape in a cave. And maybe this is like the underwater, what's going on under the water. And then finally, cube was the prompt on the 12th. And I did a very big spread for the 12th, which doesn't really follow on that well. I would like these to follow on a bit more. So cube was the prompt, and I did this with my Patreons. We were all doing the 12th of October's prompt. This was mine for cube. I can just about get it in. And for this one, I actually used some collage, some papers that I found left over from when I did my art journaling. Some of them were where I used a jelly roll and a, what do they call it, brayer, to make the papers, and some of them were pre-printed kind of art journal papers to use. So I stuck all of those on, and then I got my paints out, and for this one I actually used, what did I use for this one? I used the Art Graph Tailor Shape, which is these, the Art Graph Tailor Shapes. I used some gelatos. This is coming across as something that I love using. No, tell a lie, I didn't use that. I used something else, which I will find when I move some of the things on my desk. Here you are. So I used this, which is the Kohinoor Versatile Clutch pencil, and it's I put a really black there we go, show you, it's pretty black lead in it, and I used that. I also used some white gesso in places. So I really played around with a lot of materials for this, and I really do rather like it. To me, it's a bit like a ramshackle town with lots of cubey houses in it. And yeah, it's just really interesting. That made a really nice roof. You could see, you know, I've used the brickwork in part there. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun to do. And that is how I am using this sketchbook. I'm playing with all my materials. I'm seeing if there are some effects that I like that I can use in my paintings going forward. I don't want to get stuck doing the same thing all the while. I want to make progress in my art. I want to keep growing. So this this has given me the freedom to just try things using Inktober for this purpose. So I will be doing the other side. I've got the whole of the other side to do for the rest of Inktober. But for today, I have, let me make sure I've got this up the right way, because I don't want to do another painting upside down, do I? Okay, there we go. It is this way round. So let me bring up a reference picture. There we go. So that is going to be my inspiration. This is from Pexels. So I'll leave the link to this. And I'm just going to try and do this in a much more abstract way. I need some paints. I'm going to use this little, where am I? This little palette. This has mainly got, which way do we open? She says. Ah, there we go. This has mainly got Aliona's paints in, but it does have some others. If I try and pull this out, did I write what else I'd put on there? Yeah, it's got some Memory Blue and some Rembrandt. But you can see the colours there. This was just using up some paints, really. So I'm going to be using those colours, and I'm going to try and do it in quite an abstract way. You'll have to forgive me. My water is rather crummy, but this is the real life. This is, yeah, I'll just, so as you don't have to look at it, I'll pop it over there. I'm going to grab my size 12 Esco de Perla because I want to be quite loose. The bigger the brush you have, the looser you can be. So I want to get a bit of blue sky in, and I'm going to use this gorgeous kind of, I think this is like cobalt teal, to be honest. And I'm going to get some of that in at the top there, quite loosely, like so. I then need some green, and I think I might, well, let's see how we go. We've kind of got this green patch over here. So we'll pop that in. And we've got more green going on around the top there. So I think this is called green gold. So we'll pop a bit there. Let's find a little palette. Here we go. Let's mix that with some blue and get a different green going on, because we've got these kinds of fields. And you can see I'm trying to be as loose as I can. And then we've got these grasses right at the front here. So let's take this green again. And let's get some bleed proof white, because I want to lighten that up a bit. And I don't have a buff titanium in here. So I'm going to cheat a bit and get myself this colour. And I'm going to get that going up and over, so that I've got that going on. Now, I want to get some of those marks in that are on that field. So, bigger one, smaller one. Let's go with the smaller one and see what happens. So, we've got these marks. And then maybe, what can I use next? Let's use let's try and find a palette knife. There you are. Let's try and use a palette knife and get something going on here in front of those fields. And then I need something more here. So what should we get out? We shall get out, let's get some Neo colours out. And we need quite a bright green, I think, for some of this. So we'll get some of this going on, even though it's all wet. And some of it might just give us some nice marks going on. Like that. And then I think maybe, what colour is this? That one's dark green. So maybe we can add to that kind of dark green bit that's going on there, because there's quite a dark patch going on there, isn't there? And we're going to need some dark in there. So we'll get that going on. And there's kind of like some shadow over there. So let's get our green again. And you can see I'm just using everything that's there. And I'm going to try and get some of this shadow going on over there. And then we need something darker down the bottom here. Now that might not go over the Neo colour, but we will see. Right, I'm going to need to go over that again, I think, and get some lighter stuff going on down here. Maybe we can use, what's this colour? Yeah, to get some of this back in again that I lost. So I think we've got something more going on there. What I might do is, I'm not sure if this will work either, but I want to see if I can get a bit of dark in here, and then I might have to lift some out. Okay, that's darkened that up a little bit. What else shall we put in there? Shall I let that dry? I'll let that dry and I will come back. All right, so that is now dry, and I'm going to move to some coloured pencil. So this is light malachite green. It's an Inktense, and I want to get these. I'm going in between the lines that I made with that little plastic tool, because I want to get more of that blue in from the sky. So do I want, theirs is all going that way, but I think I'm going to do something like this because I quite like that effect. So I'm just using this to bounce off of. I'm not trying to copy this by any means. I think I want to get something going on in the back there. So where are my greens? Greens, there you are. So let's take the dark sap green luminance, and I'm not going to draw trees. I'm just going to draw something. Well, I'm just going to do some lines, basically, because I want this to be much more abstract. And then I think I'm going to do some lines going across here, so that there's two lots of lines going on, and I want some darker bits coming up here. Like that. And then I'm going to take this Art Graph soft carbon pencil, and I'm just going to bring up something that looks like some kind of flowery something's going on. And maybe we can have something going on across here. Maybe that's, yeah, quite like that. I think I need to go darker at the bottom here, and maybe I can divide this field up a little bit. And give it something else going on. I think maybe we need something else going on in here. So maybe we'll just put some little dots and dashes. Okay. Now, what can I do down the bottom here that's going to darken it up a bit, I think? Maybe it's like some rocks or something coming down. And I'll try and make them darker in places than others. And we've got some real kind of contrast going on down at the bottom there. Okay, let's bring in the bleed proof white again. Because we love a bit of bleed proof white. And I'm just going to add a little bit here and there, because I think it needs something. So, and maybe even across this bit here. And what I might do is just smudge that bit. So, do I like this bit? Not so much. What can we do there that's going to make that better? Well, did I use Neo Colour in there? Can we do anything with it? Maybe wet it. And let it come down a bit. Yeah. I think that's a bit better. So, as you can see, I have not copied the picture whatsoever. I've just used it for some inspiration and to do something a little bit different. I think I do need to have a bit more of this crissy-crossy going on somewhere, if I can, because otherwise it just looks a bit odd being in one place. So I'm going to add a little bit over there and a little bit up there, just to balance it out a bit more. So there we go, me playing and doing, or trying to kind of not get too precious with what it is that I'm doing, and just seeing what my materials can do, doing something a little bit different for me. And I quite like those colours together. Yes. So let's take this masking tape off, or rather this is not actual masking tape. Right, this is washi tape. Let's just lose the reference picture for a minute, because I think that can distract. So there we go, something slightly different today. What do you think? Have you ever tried doing abstract? Do you like doing abstract, or making things a little bit more abstract? So I guess this is probably more semi-abstract, isn't it? Thoughts, everyone? Send me some comments. I love replying to your comments. That's it for today. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Paint Calm on Friday again. So stay safe, stay healthy, and stay calm. And thank you so much for being here with me. Bye for now.